Hey troops, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan, a former commando from the United Kingdom. Today we're going to be talking about Ukraine war, specifically the Himars rocket system, which has been used recently to strike Russian ammunition depots. Keeping up with the theme from yesterday, talking about munitions and stockpiles and stuff like that pertaining to Russia. We're going to be getting amongst this video today. Now, the information from this video we're going to delve into a little bit deeply, a little bit deeper than normal. We're going to go into some other sources so you understand what a HIMARS rocket system is, where it's deployed, how much it costs, the specifications and stuff. But first, we're going to get into this and then see what we have to say. Thanks for being here. Smash the like, share and subscribe.
Okay, to the war in Ukraine now, and Ukrainian authorities say their forces targeted a Russian ammunition depot in the south of the country overnight, resulting in a massive explosion captured on social media. Well, it comes as the battle for the east of the country continues. For more on this, I'm joined now by defence and security expert Professor Michael Clark.
Always good to get a professor involved, especially when you want your point to come across in a more pertinent way. Now, we have seen these ammunition depots being destroyed over the past few months. Is that one of the reasons why Russia is allegedly running out of ammunition in the first place? That's speculation, of course. Now, we can understand how the media portrays things, but it does kind of tie in, especially with the fact that this rocket system is targeting Russian ammunition dumps. Maybe that's a reason why they're allegedly running short on supplies.
Let's talk about the latest on the overall situation in Ukraine, if we can first, Michael.
Yes, I mean, as in all wars, there's a lot happening, but sometimes it doesn't appear to be moving much on the ground. So there's an operational pause going on in the Donbass, which is where our focus is mainly. The Russians took Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. They are moving towards Slavyansk, but they won't get there for a little while because they're preparing that battle. And at the moment, the attention is on this, the main highway, the E40, one of the great European highways, runs from Calais to Kazakhstan. And the part of it that runs through Ukraine goes from Kharkiv to Slavyansk to Luhansk. And so that highway is a very important strategic artery.
Yeah, I was just about to get onto that point. In terms of transportation of munitions and weaponry, guys, I've got news for you. Although it's a war zone, we still need highways to be functional just so we can get the munitions, the troops and the infrastructure needed from point A to point B. Otherwise, you're not able to deploy certain resources in certain areas. So although they are destroying the area, or the aim in war is to destroy certain key strategic points, and roads included, some of the main highways actually, they need to survive so they can be used to transport resources all over the place. And it's no different from Ukraine.
That both sides are now competing over. That will dominate really the battle for Slavyansk that will start quite soon.
Right, so if he's saying it's going to start quite soon, then you best take heed of that. It's probably in the intelligence circles that's going to happen. You don't need to be a brain box to look at that map just behind me. You can see the area of Slavyansk. There's quite a lot of white there. There's a lot of there's a lot of unclaimed territory, so to speak. You've got Russian control on the right, and you've got what we'd like to say is the Ukrainian forces on the left there. Now, that main highway is going to be a key strategic point in the war. It could actually be a turning point, especially when we're talking about the transport links and stuff. Russia's ability to be able to move further west if they control that road system is going to be very, very important. So, yeah, this might be where the Himars rocket system comes in very, very handy. It's used to strike Russian ammunition depots, but it might actually be used even further than that, all right?
Most of the attention, of course, is a bit further southwest now, where there is some real change, I think.
Okay, well, let's take our viewers there then and look at the city of Kherson. What's happening there and, of course, the surrounding areas?
Yeah, well, the Ukrainians began this big offensive 3 weeks ago now, and they're moving to the northwest of Kherson, and they're trying to move in on Kherson city. They expect to be able to produce a strategic gain there, a big strategic gain, sometime soon. We'll see if they can. It's a tough one, but the next couple of weeks, I think, will be important. Meanwhile...
Yeah, so we've got definitely going to have amphibious troops in that region as well. You can just see geographically where it's located. There is talks, if someone could let me know in the chat, of, I believe, maybe Turkey helping out with with the logistics in the Black Sea. I don't know how true that is, but I have seen somewhere that they actually might be helping out. I don't know if it's with logistics of their maritime capability or what, or if it's transportation of goods. I'm not too sure, but that if that is true, that's another country on board.
Nova Kakhovka, which is the dam, it's where the dam is that feeds the water into Crimea. Big place. There's a huge explosion that you mentioned, massive artillery explosion, the biggest that we've seen so far.
Wow.
The Ukrainians targeted the ammunition depot at Nova Kakhovka, which is at the end of a rail junction on one of the bridges over the Dnieper River. And it was huge. And that particular explosion, they say, the Ukrainians say, was created by their Himars, which is their system. That's the explosion. Nobody's seen one quite this big before. There's lots of it on social media. Most commentary is that it's probably Grad rockets as well as artillery ammunition. So a huge amount, because it was a very big concentration of ammunition. Everyone knew where it was. The Russians made no attempt to disperse it. It was all there to be hit.
Right, so a little bit of lacklusteredness from the Russians there. We've seen this time and time again with Russia, unfortunately, or fortunately rather, it goes in the Ukrainians' favour. A big, massive ammunition dump, and I think he mentioned at the end of a railway there, so obviously that transport link has been bringing in the munitions in the first place. Not really a great idea to leave it there and be kind of lacklustered with its security. A lot of that ammunition has just been blown up now, as we can see, the biggest explosion in the war so far, allegedly. Now, that means that Ukraine is getting intelligence on the whereabouts of these ammunition dumps, and long may it continue as well. The less ammunition Russia has, the less capable they become, you know?
And the hitting was done by this mobile multiple launch rocket system called the Himars, the high mobility rocket artillery. There it is. The thing about the Himars, it's not the heaviest system at all. It's quite light. It's a wheeled vehicle, so it has to stay on the roads.
Yeah, but this could be a good thing as well. The fact that it isn't the heaviest system gives it its maneuverability, okay? It can easily access areas and give quite a bang for its buck. I don't know too much about the Himars rocket system, so, post-completion of this video, we're going to look into that a little bit more.
But that means it's quick, it's fast. The cassette carries 6 missiles, and that cassette can be switched in about 3 minutes. It's a 3-man team on the vehicle. So these vehicles can shoot and scoot. They can fire off the 6 rockets. Each one is very accurate, and then they can be away. And the Russians just can't find them.
Yeah, this is actually the kit we've been talking about over the last few months that they really desperately wanted, aren't we? So what are the Russians now doing to deal with these hit-and-run tactics? Or can they counter them?
They're looking for them. The Ukrainians only seem to have about 8, which is a ridiculously small number. Maybe.
Right. Or do they have 8? That's the question. So we're going to get into this a little bit. Sometimes, the media will work alongside the favoured military organisation, and this is just my opinion, to be more favourable with them, all right? The information that they wish to discuss and get out there, maybe it's a bit of a Trojan horse scenario. I've seen that in history actually play out quite a few times. Now, the article here, the professor is saying that there's only 8 of these things exist in Ukraine, giving a little bit of false hope to Russia, because they might have a lot more. Now, I'm trying to think why they would do that strategically. Maybe he's given the impression that they've got less of a capability than they actually have, and allowing Russia to try and push on forward anywhere with the thought in their head that, well, there's not many of these things that can disrupt us in the first place. But in actual fact, there might actually be more than 8. My thought pattern on this is that's a bit of a false flag information done on purpose to create an overreaction from Russia. I might be wrong on that, guys. Again, I'm not a historian or anything, but what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. 4 more on the way, but it's a handful. But at the moment, they're able to shoot and scoot and keep out of the way because the Russians have not got control of what's happening in the air. They don't actually know what the ground situation is. And this morning, American intelligence reported that the Russians are getting a series of, they said, hundreds of drones from Iran. So the drones that the Iranians have given to the Houthi rebels in Yemen, they're now going to give to Russia. Okay, that's interesting. Wonder what the ramifications and consequences are going to be with that, with these countries supplying Russia. It's a very interesting one. I think that topic opens up a hell of a lot of debate on the channel, and a lot more content for many months to come. It increases tensions between countries as well. I think that's one thing that hasn't really been spoken about, the increased tensions between foes, rivals, and friendlies as well. We're seeing that, you know, just Sweden and Finland joining NATO is causing tensions among certain countries, you know, and that's how world wars start. That's how world wars start. I'd be interested to see if this develops any further into something even, you know, closely resembles a world war. In my heart, I don't think it will happen. I don't think it'll get that far. But this is definitely how world wars start in the first place.
President Putin announced today, or the Kremlin announced this morning, that Putin was going to Iran next week. So it looks as if the Russians are trying to invest in a lot more drones because they just don't have an image of what's happening on the ground. Unless they can get that image, unless they can get good intelligence, they can't find this small handful of Himars that are doing them such damage.
So they're doing a lot of damage indeed from what the narrative is. Now, Himars, what is a M142 Himars? We're going to get into it now just for a little bit more information, guys. If you're this far in the video, please smash a like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and if you want to become a member, hit the join button. But if you are here, we're going to get into it anyway. So I am reading from the screen a little bit, so apologies if my eyes are a little bit wonky, but in short, the M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, HIMARS, is a light multiple rocket launcher developed in the late 1990s for the United States Army and mounted on a standard US Army M1140 truck frame. The M142 carries the pod with exterior 6 GMLRS rockets or 2 PRSM missiles, or 1 ATACMS missile on the US Army's new family of medium tactical vehicles. Now, I don't know if this information's changed specifically with the vehicles that's in Ukraine, but if it has, I don't think they'll have deviated too much from what this is saying. Allegedly, it's a 5-ton truck and can launch the entire multiple launch rocket system family of munitions, in short MFOM. The M142 ammunition pods are interchangeable with the M270 MLRS. However, it is able to carry on the pod rather than the standard 2 for the M270 and its variants. Now, this is interesting that the launcher can be transported by Lockheed C-130 Hercules aircrafts. I wonder if that's how they actually got into Ukraine in the first place. Now, I haven't been keeping up to date with every single detail of this war. I wonder how these vehicles were actually transported. Who were they gifted by? If you can help me out in the chat, that would be pretty impressive. I'd be really thankful with that information. My guess is these have been supplied from America, with it being an American artillery rocket system, but I could be massively wrong on that. Just jumping back into this, apparently the chassis was initially produced by BAE Systems. That makes sense. Mobility and Protection Systems, formerly Armour Holdings Aerospace and Defence Group Tactical Vehicle Systems Division. That's a bit of a tongue twister. So yeah, this is something that was produced in 2010, or actually, yeah, the later developed in 2010. It's pretty interesting. I want to know where this thing was deployed. So it's operational history. On the 14th of February 2010, the International Security Assistance Force for Afghanistan indicated in a press release that 2 rockets fired from the M142 unit were believed to have fallen 300 meters short of their intended target, killing 12 civilians during an operation. So that's a major failing. 300 meters short on an artillery system is actually it's quite serious, guys. That artillery isn't meant to be as inaccurate as that. Okay. Now, from what I understand with artillery, there's obviously they've got parameters that they work in, and those parameters will dictate how far left and right they can have deviances from, and there's obviously going to be discrepancies in that, with the weather and other things that can affect the distances of these things. But 300 meters is quite a failing. Yeah, that's quite a failing, guys. Not going to lie. ISAF suspended the use of the M142 until a full review of the incident was completed. So, these things are being used, but they aren't without fault, that's for sure. Now, a British officer later said that the rockets were on target, that the target was in use by the Taliban and that the use of the system had been reinstated. I don't think that's probably true. I think, you know, we've probably had someone trying to cover their tracks a little bit, which happens in war all the time. No one gets things right all of the time. Reports indicated that the civilian deaths were due to the Taliban's use of human shields. Now, there could be some truth in that as well. So these things are being used, they have been used, and apparently they're to, you know, I've been reading a little bit to actual great effect. I think these things work very, very good in certain environments, and, you know, Ukraine seems to be the perfect environment for that, the perfect task at hand as well. These things need to be light, ready to fight, used on tracks or off tracks, being able to have that mobility to get in and out, shoot and scoot, using three-man teams, so there's not a lot of resources needed to get these things in a specific area to cause quite a lot of damage. They're also the tactics in which they're using are actually very much like the tactics in which the commandos, myself being a Royal Marines commando, were formed upon. Shoot and scoot tactics, commando style raids, getting in, getting out, causing as much damage with as little resources as you possibly can. These things are doing that, but from an artillery standpoint, they're getting in and out of a situation, and as per the video, causing a shitloads of damage. I mean, if you think about it on a scale of war, let's just forget about the cost of human life and then look at the next big thing. If you haven't got no moral compass, you're going to be looking at, well, a supply dump with millions and millions of pounds worth of ammunition in there. That is very, very vital and such an important part of war. Without it, you don't function. So if you forget about the human life and the human cost involved in this, that probably is the next biggest thing, or the first biggest thing for those who haven't got a good moral compass, would be, you know, destroying an ammo dump. And I think that's seriously going to hinder Russia's capabilities thus for moving forward, okay? I think we're going to see a lot more of these shoot and scoot type tactics. I think we're going to see a lot more use of the Himars causing havoc. My prediction is this: we're going to see a lot more videos on this bit of kit causing a lot of damage in Russia and being very, very successful. Do I think the drones that are going to get implemented and utilized from Iran and the other places, I think it was Iran that he mentioned, is going to cause havoc? I don't think 100 drones is going to cause as much havoc as people think. I think those drones are not going to be able to find these things just like that. It's going to take time, resources are going to be used, training is going to need to be developed and implemented on the ground to be able to be effective with the use of these drones in the first place. So we're going to have a bit of a skills gap for a period of time, and for that period of time the Himars is probably going to have an even greater impact for the good of Ukraine during that time. I think personally the drones, if it's a successful business deal and the deal's made with Putin going over to the Middle East, I think those drones are probably going to be utilized more so with the fighting on the ground between the infanteers, all right, the sections of men, the troops of men, the company level sizes of men are going to be using these things to aid their progress forward. And I think there'll be eyes in the sky for them guys more than anything, but I don't think they're going to be set out on hunting missions trying to find the Himars. I just don't think that's a practical solution to that problem. But guys, what do I know? I'm just a former amphibious infanteer. So yeah, troops, if you've watched this far, as always, let me know in the comments if you actually made it here, because I want to gauge how many people are interested in things that I have to say, because if you're not, quite frankly, I'll cut them shorter. But if you do like these updates, please drop a comment for the algorithm. Let me know how much you like the video. Share the hell out of these videos with your friends on social media. You would be surprised at how much it helps. It truly does. But troops, thank you for another video yet again. I appreciate everyone's support. And one more thing, gratitude is a great thing, and I'm extremely grateful for the position I am in life. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's watching this, specifically the veterans amongst us. I don't care what country you're pertaining to. If you served in the military, you have my utmost respect. If you wanted to serve in the military, you have my utmost respect. And by not being in the military and supporting this channel and supporting other veterans in the process, I just want to say thank you to you guys as well. So thank you for your service, and those aspiring, make it happen. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.